nagmamatag, hindi natitinag sa bawat hamon ng mundo. Katotohanan ang aking armas, di ako magpapatalo. Teacher Mark reacts, galit sa kasinungalingan. Sa bawat salita, bumubulusok ang katotohanan. Walang palusot, walang takas sa mali. Ako'y revolusyonaryo.
Yon, welcome back sa Teacher Mark Reacts. Ang pag-uusapan natin, ito, balik, no? Balik sa news program. Itong si, hindi naman news program pala. Parang, ano ba? Balik sa mainstream. O, yun na lang. Balik sa mainstream itong si Attorney Trixie Cruz. So alam nyo dati, no, talagang pinapanood ko yan sa sa Karambola, no. Lagi yan araw-araw pinapanood ko yan si Attorney Trixie. Ngayon naman, nandito na siya sa Bilyonaryo News Channel. Kasama niya si Martin ba? Tama ba? Ano pangalan nito? Kalimutan ko yung pangalan ni Sir. Bari sila spokesperson ng nakaraang mga administrasyon. Eto. Forward natin ha. Gagi si Drillo. Eto. Without further ado, let's do this. Si Ochoa. Ayan. Parehas na PCO. Ay.
Good morning,
Sir.
Colonel Sherda.
Joining the discussion is former Senate President Franklin Drilon, or how I call him is
Lupit to Drilon eh. Kumili talaga to sa Drilon eh.
Joining the discussion is former Senate President Franklin Drilon, or how I call him is FMD. Good morning, Senator Frank.
Good morning, Edwin. Thank you for inviting me here.
Edwin.
Thank you, Trixie.
Thank you, sir, for
Edwin Lasherda.
being here.
So basically, what we're looking at, Justice Martires, we'll call you Justice, or more formally calling
Sammy. I
Sammy.
would prefer to be called Sammy.
Justice Sammy. Yung mga katwiran po nung inyong dismissal, I think are fairly plain. No? Essentially, can you just reiterate the grounds for the dismissal of, or the reversal of the decision of Justice Chit Carpio Morales?
From the very start, Senator Joel Villanueva has already raised the defense that the one who requested for the PDAF is the Buhay Party List.
Right.
And the signature in the Buhay Party List letter is, per the findings of the National Bureau of Investigation, a forged signature, not the same signature as the one of Joel Villanueva. These defenses were disregarded by then Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales. The decision of Carpio Morales came about towards the last week of October.
In 2018.
In 2016.
2016, right.
2016.
Okay. 2016?
When I was appointed in 2018, after an inventor of the cases, I found out that there was this pending motion for reconsideration.
Ayun naman pala. Oo. Pending pala. Sinong may kasalanan kung bakit pending?
So I requested the bureau concerned to immediately act on that motion for reconsideration, which they endorsed to me sometime in July of 31 of 2019.
Right.
On September 13, I approved the recommendation of the bureau to dismiss or to grant the motion for reconsideration of Joel Villanueva.
The first question, Justice Sammy, was that when was the motion for reconsideration filed? I heard you in one interview, you mentioned that you assumed that it was timely filed. But would you have an exact date when the motion for reconsideration was filed by Senator Joel Villanueva?
I was told and sent a copy actually by the first page of the motion for of the resolution. It appears that Joel Villanueva filed his motion for reconsideration within the 10-day period to file a motion for reconsideration. Because
So, doon pa lang, tapos na. Yung resolution mismo yung nagsasabi na nakasama doon, 10 days. 'Di ba sinasabi nila, within 15 days, kailangan sumagot. 10 days pa lang eh. Nasagot na eh. Sinong may kasalanan doon? Si Carpio Morales. It means, inupuan niya. 'Di ba?
there are two periods in the Ombudsman. 5 days when it comes to criminal cases and 10 days when it comes to administrative cases.
And this is an administrative case.
This is an administrative case.
Senator Dillon, you've gone through this. You've been a senator for so long. So how do you view the whole...
Well, firstly, I haven't seen the decisions, and therefore, if I comment, it is only on the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman. It is very clear that under our Constitution and the Ombudsman Act, the Ombudsman has no jurisdiction over members of Congress. You may not like that rule, but that's the rule in our Constitution, that members of Congress can only be questioned
By the Senate. Tribunals.
in the Senate or in the House.
What are you suggesting? What are you
I
suggesting?
am
that
not suggesting anything. That's the reason why the Senate at the time did not favorably act on the recommendation or on the dismissal order, because the legal counsel of the Senate in a memo said that they have no jurisdiction over senators. And I think Tito Soto was then the majority leader and brought this before the plenary. And indeed, as a lawyer, when I was reading the Constitution, really, the Ombudsman has no jurisdiction over senators and Congress. Having said that, it is clear that the Senate has not acted on this. The issue has not been brought to the Senate on the merits as to whether or not there is a basis for the malfeasance charge of Villanueva. Sad to say, we are not bound. I mean, that's really sad. But we are not bound by what the Ombudsman says. We have our own proceedings. A case can be filed before the Senate today. As Justice Carpio said, wala namang, there is no, Tony Carpio, there is no prescription insofar as the grounds are insofar as the Senate is concerned. Now,
Hindi naman siguro naka-filter si Atty. Trixie, di ba? Kasi yung kilala ko laging naka-filter, no? Sana wag gayahin ni Atty. Trixie, ha? Okay na yung ganyan. Okay na, okay? Nothing changed naman eh sa itsura ni Atty. Trixie long before until now, no? It's the same Atty. Trixie. So, no need to filter it out. May kilala tayong ganun eh.
issue as to whether or not, these offenses were committed allegedly during the time that Senator Villanueva was still a congressman.
Right.
And therefore, it can be asserted that having been elected as a senator, the alleged offenses committed before he became a member of the Senate was abolished by the fact of his election to the Senate. This is the Aguinaldo Doctrine,
Which has been vacated.
Abandoned,
Yes.
And for the benefit of our audience, Aguinaldo pertains to Governor Aguinaldo of Cagayan,
That's right.
who was subject of a disciplinary action, but raised the issue of his having been re-elected as governor of Cagayan. And the court, in the first line of cases, said yes, that's why there is the so-called Aguinaldo Doctrine, but which subsequently was vacated. So now the issue is
Okay, parang ganito lang yan guys eh. Remember yung, saan ko ba pwedeng sa, yung kay VP Sara, no, sa impeachment complaint niya. 'Di ba may ginamit doon na during siya ay mayor pa. Alam ko doon sa may sinapak siya na na sheriff. 'Yon, ginamit nila, 'di ba? doon sa kanyang impeachment complaint. Ang sinabi doon, no, hindi pwedeng gamitin mo yung isang instance na ginawa ni VP Sara, no, noong hindi pa siya vice president, no, para maging grounds to impeach the current na vice president. Oh, dapat, no, ang kunin mo lang is yung mga ginawa niya, no, during the time na siya ay vice president. The rest, mutin academic na yon. Hindi mo na pwedeng gamitin yon.
The question, can somebody bring a case against Joel on the basis of
Di ba yung sheriff ginanon minuntal? Sinapak, ganun. Ano bang term doon?
that incident? My answer is yes. The issue of whether or not the Aguinaldo doctrine is still applicable is a matter that would be put on the table. But the decision will be up to the Senate. And they will be deciding on the basis of the case filed directly in the Senate and the evidence presented in the Senate, but not on the basis of the Ombudsman's decision. Because, correctly, the Ombudsman, with all due respect, has no jurisdiction over senators and
Agreed. Just to
Mas malala naman tong kay Drilon. Oh. Parang sinasabi niya, no, na Boying, wala kang kapangyarihan sa amin. Wala kang kapangyarihan over the senators, no? Yun ang gusto niyang sabihin. Kasi kailangan mo pa rin niyang i-file sa ethics, no? Ethics committee ng Senado, and they will act on it. Ganon yung sinasabi niya.
clarify, Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales sent a copy of the decision to the Senate in 2016, to which the Senate replied that they have no jurisdiction.
I mean, that Ombudsman has no jurisdiction.
Yes, the Ombudsman does not have jurisdiction, and therefore no further discussions on the case were conducted.
That's correct.
So if the case were again brought up, wouldn't Senator Villanueva just simply raise the same issue of jurisdiction?
No, because now what will be discussed will be the merits of the malfeasance. The jurisdiction will no longer be questioned.
Yes.
I repeat,
I agree.
the reason why the Senate did not implement Conchita Carpio Morales' decision, even if it was correct, the reason why we did not act on it is because of lack of jurisdiction. And the four of us here are lawyers. No matter how brilliant or good you are, if the court has no jurisdiction, the court has no jurisdiction. Period.
Yes,
Boss, just to be clear, but the acts were committed when he was still a member of Congress.
That's right.
Specifically the House of Representatives.
That's right.
Now you're taking jurisdiction because he's already a senator, but the acts were committed when he was House. Are you still saying that you can invoke
I am not
jurisdiction?
saying that. What I'm just saying is it can be litigated before the Senate as a body. Initially with the Committee on Ethics, and the arguments be raised in the Senate as to whether or not he is still liable for the acts committed while he was a congressman on the basis of the Aguinaldo Doctrine. And whoever will file a case against him will argue that the Aguinaldo Doctrine is no longer applicable. All I'm saying is that the case of Villanueva can be tried on the merits in the Senate. It has never been tried there. Now, the merits include the matter of whether or not the Aguinaldo Doctrine applies. That's basic.
So yun nga, 'di ba? Yung kay Conchita, wala na 'yon. Wala na silang magagawa doon. 'Di ba? Itong kay Martires din, wala na rin magagawa diyan. Tapos na 'yan. Pero, no, pwede mo 'yan i-cite doon sa ethics. O doon pakikinggan 'yan. Kung pwede bang pumasok o hindi. Pero malamang sa malamang, hindi yan papasok. Kasi nga, hindi na siya hindi na siya sa House of Representatives eh. Senate is a different thing, di ba?
Basically what will happen. So that the issue of whether or not the Ombudsman had jurisdiction or has jurisdiction is a settled issue. In other words, the
Tapos na.
Ombudsman has no jurisdiction, but the Senate as a body has jurisdiction under the Constitution and under the Constitution over members of Congress.
Sir Sam, what is this matter of a secret decision?
Ito na.
Is there such a thing as a secret decision? I mean, we all know that there are certain decisions that are published. The Supreme Court publishes its decisions.
All
because they
decisions are
become-
published. That's certain.
No, but there are also minute resolutions, Justice Sami,
yes,
and
yes.
which are not.
Okay.
Those are the. I think I remember Justice Sami saying in his statement that there are Supreme Court decisions that are not published. Tama ba?
Yes.
Unpublished.
Unpublished, and I think you are referring to minute resolutions po ba?
Not just minute resolutions. Not all decisions of the Supreme Court goes into the ESCRA or the Philippine reports
Yes.
or are published in ESCRA.
But doesn't mean that if it doesn't go to the ESCRA or to the SCRA, it's not public. I mean, the publication is through SCRA and through, but I think all
online,
decisions are published in the General Records or GR.
Yes, in the GR.
Yes.
So how I think the first person to describe it as secret was either Ombudsman Boy or the other.
Boying,
What
si
really
Boying.
happened is
Si Boying yung nag-umpisa niya na secret resolution. Gawa ng siya, no, gusto niyang mag-save face kasi nga nasunog. Basta bahala na kayo dun kung paano siya nasunog. Nasunog siya.
in the chronology of events, Ombudsman Remulla was saying that he will request the Senate President to implement the dismissal order issued by P.A.K.U. Morales.
And this was because he didn't know that there was already an existing reversal order.
But then when somebody told him that that order was already reversed in a motion for reconsideration that was granted by Ombudsman Martires, he suddenly shifted and said, that is a surprise or a secret decision that just saw on my table. Of all cases, this is the only decision that fell on his table. There are other decisions that I issued, that I signed, that didn't fall on his table. And besides, if just the motion for reconsideration was given to him, why didn't he ask the records of the case from the Central Records Division?
Tama.
Why must he say that there is a secret decision? That is the reason why I am actually becoming violent in my talks, in what I say. Because it connotes that an anomaly or irregularity was created. If
Tama din naman, di ba? Ombudsman ka. Kaya mong pakuwalat ng dokumentong nandyan sa Ombudsman's office. Bakit di mo ginagawa? Tapos, nagpapahid ka na etong si Ombudsman Martires, gumawa ng something na, di ba, ikakasira ng pangalan niya na siya ay tiwali. Ganon, yung mga iniisip ng mga ibang tao. Di ba? Ewan ko sa kanya.
an anomaly or irregularity was created. He further said, the only ones who knew about the resolution of the Ombudsman is Ombudsman Martires and Joel Villanueva. That is not true. That is an insult on the investigating officer who made the recommendation to her director, who likewise recommended that to the assistant ombudsman before they forwarded it to the office of the ombudsman.
Okay, medyo umiinit na si Justice Sami, medyo ano siya, no? Kita mo yung kanyang vigor. And I saw FMD also put out his ballpen. Talagang magkakaroon tayo ng magandang pag-uusap. So, we'll take a break first. The spokes will come up here.
Gaano ka incompetent? Simpleng ano na nga lang simpleng mga dokumento, papakuha mo sa office mo. Hindi mo pa nagawa. Tapos ngayon, sasabihin mo, may ginawang katiwalian tong predecessor, hindi, pinalitan mo. Oh.
Welcome back. You're watching The Spokes. So we're talking about the decision of, the controversy around the alleged secret decision. So, nasabi nyo nga ho na nag-umpisa to dahil kay Ombudsman Remulla. Pero dito po sa, I saw your statement, Justice Sammy, where you, I just want to clarify certain things. No? Like, there was a statement you made that you're saying, kasama sa people, are public officials. You're concerned about the future of the public officials. But if I recall, our constitution was very clear. No, the ombudsman, being the protectors of the people, shall act on complaints of public officials. So there's a clear demarcation between people and public officials po. So medyo parang may inversion po nung idea, the definition of people doon eh.
Well, people will refer people as a whole.
Right.
But we're talking here of the fight against graft and corruption.
Right.
So we have to protect the people from corrupt government officials.
Correct.
Okay? So yun ang sinasabi ko. But in my own context, I just don't have to protect the rights of the people, the complainants. I also have to protect the rights of the respondent.
But the rights of the respondent are already covered by the due process. I mean,
Yes.
as an ombudsman, you have to ensure that due process notice, lahat po ng
Yes,
kailangan sa
yes.
due process are already there. So
Yes.
Once you've made sure that the process was fair, that due process already satisfied.
Actually, I made that statement in relation to the question that why am I not publicizing? Why am I not talking about it? Why should I talk about a case where I am not sure whether on the guilt of the accused? Remember that our role is only to determine probable cause for purposes of filing an information.
But this was a reversal. This wasn't the case going further to the Sandigan Bayan. So my question is, for instance, me, if somebody's case was reversed, I should be happy, and there shouldn't be any reason why you should not release. Because I recall, in the case of Secretary Jun Abaya, it was a decision that you made under your administration, under your term as ombudsman in November 2020.
Yes.
It came out in January 12 of 2021. In fact, because I knew it because Jun Abaya told me that, and it was published also, media carried that news here. None of the media was able to catch it. You've already dismissed, reversed the decision. That's my discomfort.
At saka wala na rin kasing wala sa, let's say, the media, no, forgot about it already. Kasi yung mga kainitan niyan nung si Conchita Carpio Morales and this decision was after 2 years already. So parang sa isip ng mga media mans convicted itong si Joel Villanueva, hindi nila pala alam hindi na siya convicted.
Because on one hand, you release the reversal order of Junabaya. In this case, you did not publish the reversal order of Senator Joel Villanueva.
No, in the case of Abaya, I did not have it published.
But it was reported in the news.
It was the reporters who got
Correct.
a copy of the decision.
Correct.
In the case of Villanueva, I was asked actually by the Media Bureau, are we going to publish this? I said, no.
Why not?
Why not? If I publish it, if I talk about it, sasabihin ng tao, kinakatigan ko si Joel Villanueva. Okay? Kinakampihan ko si Joel Villanueva. At the time I signed, I approved that resolution,
Yes.
granting the motion for reconsideration, hindi ko kilala si Joel Villanueva. The first time I met him was in the Senate during the budget hearing. I don't know Joel Villanueva. Kaya lang, pag binigyan ng kulay, di ba? In masisemi ngayon, yung secret decision, binigyan ng kulay eh. But haven't you noticed that I am now the flavor of the month? And the flavor of the month before was flood control projects, ghost projects. Nakalimutan na natin yon. The flavor of the month was the trillion peso march. nakalimutan rin ng tao.
Hindi pa naman po.
So is this not a way to divert the attention of the people? You know?
Senator Drilon,
What?
your thoughts, kasi nakangiti kayo kanina eh.
Which part?
Flood control.
May notes ka pa nga dyan, no?
You know, we want to talk about flood control? My goodness gracious. You know, it's the worst corruption episode that I have heard in my life, and I never saw this in my 24 years in the Senate, nor in my 34 years in public service. Talagang garapal na. And I guess the question that would be asked is, how did we get here?
Baka tulog ka that time. Baka tulog ka that time, Tito Frank. Oh, kasi minsan gising-gising ka rin. Hindi sana nakita mo kung paano sila, paano sila nangungulimbat, di ba? Ikaw talaga, Tito Frank, eh. Ay, naku. Oh.
How did we get to this situation where the corruption was so widespread from Tawi-Tawi to the north, you know? And to me, very simple. I mean, it's simple, but it has developed. What we have developed is a culture of impunity. Wala na pong takot ang tao sa batas eh. And while we love to say, we lawyers love to say, rule of law, today, the rule of law is only a suggestion.
Oh.
Baka naman nabag sa batas yan.
Like traffic
It's no
lights.
longer an issue of you following the law strictly, but because the suggestion is that is the rule of law. And to me, I'm very disturbed. And the lack of respect for the law is a result of what we have today. Our pillars of justice are very weak. The institutions that are supposed to exact accountability are weakened. So these to me, prosecution, investigation, adjudication, punishment, and even society. Oh, just the last one. Ito, in our last hearing, I was invited by the Committee on Justice in the Senate to talk about the ICI. On that same day, the office of the DPWH was burned. So what do you think was on the headline the following day? It is not what we said in the ICI hearing on the
But the
jurisdiction,
DPWH.
etc. But the burning of the DPWH building.
Nagkataon lang ba? Alam nyo guys, ganito kasi yan, no? Ito yung napapansin ko before. No? Long before pa nung I think nasa Pilipinas pa si PRRD, di ba? Gagawa ng issue yung kabila, tapos ang gagawin nung mga loyalista, gagawa sila ng panibagong issue para matakpan yung issue na brinot up nung kabilang kampo. O tapos ngayon naman, yung kabilang kampo maglalabas uli ng panibagong issue. Patong-patong lang guys, yung issue. Ganon yung ginagawa nila. Kung maingay yung issue ngayon, gagawa ka ng mas maingay na issue, hindi na matatalakay yung naunang issue. Ang tatalakayin, yung panibagong maingay. Diba? O tapos ngayon na naman, gagawa ka na naman ng isang maingay na issue, tatakpan uli yung panibago. Ganun. Kaya wala tayong nararating.
This is what disturbs me. Also, so that's why I'm saying everybody bears the blame, and everybody should take a second look, should look back and see why did we get to this? Why did we get to this? You remember, even after you punish the guilty, look at the case of Mayor Antonio Sanchez. Nagkagulo tuloy because there were attempts to free him. So to me, it calls for an overall review and the consciousness that sama-sama tayo dito lahat. If our system would collapse, you go back to martial law because then people will be looking for a strong arm to
Awag naman. Awag naman. Ano yan, Frank? Tito Frank, not martial law. Yun nga yung iniiwasan natin, Tito Frank eh. Magkaroon ng martial law eh. Tapos ikaw, kung magka-collapse tayo, let's go back to martial law. Ano ba naman? Ay, naku.
let the people
Bad idea, Tito Frank. Bad idea.
behave.
From that, let me just ask a final question to the both Justice Sami and FMD. After all the revelations, after all these reversals, can we still trust the Ombudsman as the premier accountability institution, not a quasi-judicial tribunal, but as an accountability institution? Can we still trust the process in the Ombudsman?
I'll make this statement. The people are not convinced that we are in a system where the rule of law is the primary system that governs the conduct of men. That portion of the belief is eroded, and not only on the Ombudsman, but in all the 5 pillars of justice. And that is a sad commentary on where we are today. You know, when we were hearing when I attended the hearing of the ICI, there were suggestions that we grant the power to search and arrest on the part of the ICI.
I saw
My
that.
goodness gracious. I have just one answer. Do you want to go back to the regime of the ASO? When the arrest and seizure were ordered by the
Frank, maraming Gen Z rito, kaya hindi nila aso baka po.
that is in effect what you're looking for. Is that what we want? So everybody stops to talk because they realize that what they're thinking of is a situation where you threw everything in the wastebasket and because you are righteous. You know? So that is, I am an advocate that what we have today is an erosion of the belief of our people in the rule of law. So we must do everything, everybody in society involved
Tama.
in having an orderly society involved in restoring back our people's faith in our rule of law and our justice system.
Sir Sam, what do you think of this whole thing as a final wrap-up on what is your take on what's going on right now?
Well, I look at it as, as a diversionary tactic, as I said, to let the people in the meantime forget about the ghost projects, about the flood control anomalies. So divert it to the secret decision, which there is no secret decision. The secret decision is just, yung bukang bibig lang ni Ombudsman Remulla.
Nako.
But I would advise Ombudsman Remulla,
Makinig ka, Ombudsman. May advice daw, oh. Nako, babanatang.
ni Ombudsman Remulla. But I would advise Ombudsman Remulla, if you are listening, you work. Stop conducting press conferences almost every day. Because you will never know what is really happening in the office of the Ombudsman. Biro mo, hindi mo alam ang proseso sa isang kaso. Hindi mo
Gagi. Lumalatay ito, Ulit. Lumalatay ito. Gagi, pinamukha niya talaga kay Boying. Wala kang alam. Ano ba to?
you are listening, you work. Stop conducting press conferences almost every day. Because you will never know what is really happening in the office of the Ombudsman. Biro mo, hindi mo alam ang proseso sa isang kaso. Hindi mo alam kung bakit nagkaroon. I do not blame Justice Carpio Morales na hindi niya alam yung motion for reconsideration. Why? Once a motion for reconsideration is filed, the Ombudsman is not informed. The Records Division sends that motion for reconsideration together with the records immediately to the handling hearing officer, the one who issued the decision. Unless the hearing officer, his or her director, and his or her assistant ombudsman will tell the ombudsman, doon lang malalaman ng ombudsman. In my case, there are a lot of times when reporters would ask me, Justice, what happened to the motion for reconsideration filed Mr. X? Mayroon ba? So hahanapin ko yung kaso, I will ask them. Even cases that are filed, hindi alam ng ombudsman yon. Kaya kung minsan nagmumukhang tanga yung ombudsman.
In this instance, si Boying. Si Boying yung nagmumukhang tanga. Oh.
Kaya kung wala kang gagawin, presscon ka na mag-presscon, wala ka talaga malalaman sa ombudsman ko. Now, why is it na sinasabi niya, bakit hindi alam na ibang grupo yung existence ng motion for reconsideration? Dahil yung ginagawa ko, hindi dapat malaman ni Atty. Trixie. Why? Baka pag nalaman ni Atty. Trixie, ibenta yung ginagawa ko. All Atty. Trixie has to do, if my recommendation is favorable to the respondent, look for the respondent and tell the respondent, gusto mo manalo sa kaso mo? Bigay ka lang ng 20 million. It happened several times. Bigay ka lang 20 million, ako nang bahala kay ombudsman. Bigay ka 20 million, wala namang kaalam-alam yung ombudsman. Ang delikado lang doon, which happened in one case, ni-reverse ng ombudsman yung recommendation ng investigating officer, yung findings. So medyo may nagbalik ng 25 million doon sa kasong yon. This is a case somewhere in Batangas, you know. Yun ang nakakatakot doon. So hindi po pwedeng sasabihin mo yung ginagawa.
Oh my goodness. Gagi. May nahuli siya sa office niya mismo na sinuhulan. Ang ginawa niya, kung ano yung inirekomenda. No? Ni-reverse niya. Gagi. Matalino to. Sa Batangas? Kanino kaya yun? Somewhere in Batangas daw eh. Oh, tapos sasabihin nila, eto, dudungisan yung pangalan mo. Di ba? Nihari mo nga yung nabenta eh. Tapos ikaw ngayon yung tiwali. Gagi.
Kasong yon. This is a case somewhere in Batangas, you know. Yun ang nakakatakot doon. So, hindi po pwedeng sasabihin mo yung ginagawa mo eh. Otherwise, mabubukulan ka.
Daming kwento pala ni Justice Sammy.
So,
That is why I think Ombudsman Remulla should look into the culture sa Ombudsman. Anong nangyayari? Bakit ganito ang sistema sa Ombudsman?
so this is an exciting show. Ang
Gagi. What a revelation. Oh. It happens. Oh, tanungin niyo si Yosek. Sorry. Tanungin nyo lang naman na kung it happens ba. Okay? Oh. Wala namang masamang magtanong kung, Yusek, nangyayari po ba yung sinasabi ni ni ex-ombudsman Samuel Martires? Nandun siya sa gobyerno eh. Baka masagot niya yan. 'Di ba? Tapos tropa niya pa yung gobyerno. Baka kilala niya kung sino. Mahirap talagang gisingin ang natutulog na dragon. May corrupt din sa ombudsman. Exactly. Lahat naman, 'di ba? But syempre kung yung leader, hindi magpapakurap, walang mangyayari. Akala mo maiisahan mo, hindi pala. Well, anyway, tapusin na muna natin dyan, guys. Sakto, start na rin sa Atty. Libayan. Lipat din tayo sa live ni Atty. Libayan. Maraming salamat. Kumain ng tama sa oras. This is Teacher Mark out. Bye-bye, guys.
Sa simula't simula pa man, problema'y tila walang hanggan. Mga lider sa upuan, ang matay sa sarili lang. Pangako'y ubod ng tamis sa entablado, tila anghel. Pero pagkatapos ng halalan, na sana ang puso ng bayan.